Welcome to another insightful edition of the No Limits Life podcast. I'm your host, Nordine, joined by my co-host, Ken. Today, we have a legend in the world of advertising, a creative force whose career spans nearly 5 decades, shaping brands and pioneering campaigns that changed the industry. This episode is about vision, innovation, and the art of storytelling that leaves a lasting impact. True creativity is not just about selling products. It's about telling stories, creating connections, and inspiring change. Our guest today, Rich Moret, has spent close to 50 years in the advertising business. His journey took him from Amherst College, which is New York, where he won the annual Poetry Award, to the vibrant world of advertising in Chicago, Hawaii, and eventually Tucson. From writing for major hotels and tourist attractions in the Aloha State to leading one of Arizona's most influential advertising agencies, Rich has crafted campaigns for iconic brands like Toshiba, PimaCare, and KVOA Eyewitness News. His impact stretches across industries, from healthcare to gaming, real estate to automotive, making him a true pioneer in his field. Please join us in welcoming a true advertising innovator, Rich Moret.
Rich Moret.
Moret.
Although Nordine is from France.
If I were in France, I would be Moret. When I am in Italy, I am Moretti.
Moretti.
When I am in Tucson, I prefer Moret. If I were in Russia or Austria or Poland, which is all the family, it would be Moretsky. How's that?
Okay.
Moretsky, I love it.
Rich, it's a pleasure.
Thank you.
To have you here. Today's quote, true creativity is not just about selling products, it's about telling stories, creating connection, and inspiring change. How does it feel, in your life? And I think it's a perfect fit for your journey. How does this resonate with your decade-long career in advertising?
How long do we have here?
All the time you want.
Well, let's start close to the beginning, because I think there's a story there too. When I was a young kid, let's say 4 or 5 years old, my family was living in Long Island, Levittown, New York, to be exact, and I had asthma. And the pediatrician said, "Well, you better take your son to the desert and like Tucson." And so my family moved here in 1951.
Wow.
And
there was nothing here in 1951.
There was very little here.
Nothing.
There were about 50,000 people here in 1951. And that was one of the great, fortunate decisions of my life, because Tucson was a wonderful place to grow up. I couldn't have had a better childhood than here. You look at the history of Tucson, it was growing so fast, and yet there was still a great quality of life. There was very little crime here. Every school was a great school. Every school. Here, I grew up in a neighborhood on Broadway, Columbus, and yet not even moving. They were building elementary schools right and left. So I started at Peter Howell, then I went to Benias, to Duffy, then I went to Lineweaver, all from the same house. And then from Lineweaver, Alice Vale, which still exists as a junior high school or middle school, and then from there to Rincon, where I was a class of 64. That's a long time ago, but it was double, triple sessions, and yet we had a wonderful group of teachers. So coming here was one of the great fortunate decisions of my life. But at the same time, leaving here was another fortunate decision. Like many of you here, you need to get out of your comfort zone sometimes.
We just talked about that in another podcast.
Is that right, Ken? So with me, it was very comfortable to go to maybe be at home. I wasn't learning that much sticking around here. Almost everyone went to the University of Arizona from Rincon High School, and that's exactly what I did. But it was a disappointing experience. Not to blame the U of A so much, but if you just commute and from home and you're not in a fraternity or a sorority or in a dorm or in an apartment, it's not a real college experience in my life. Yet I was kind of stuck, so I needed a ticket, you might say. I didn't have a lot of money. I needed a ticket. And LBJ had just started we'll call it the Great Society. Mm-hmm. And part of the Great Society was VISTA, Volunteers in Service to America, which was basically the Domestic Peace Corps. That started in my sophomore year at the university, and I applied and got accepted.
Oh, wow.
That was a one-year deal, and that was my ticket to get out of town, you might say, right?
And where'd you go?
I ended up where my family, grandparents, had roots, which was Lower East Side, New York.
Oh, wow.
So my grandparents used to tease me that they did everything they could to get out of the tenements, and here I went.
Back to the source.
I went back there to the roots. That's right. And it was a wonderful experience living and working in Lower East Side. It was the neighborhood there was about 80% Puerto Rican, and then there were some very old Jews. There were some Chinese. There were some blacks, and I worked out of, but still a settlement house, University Settlement House, and it has a great history in New York. And living down there I learned a lot. I think I helped a lot, but I learned a lot, and that in turn became a ticket to a totally different college experience for me, which was at Amherst. Amherst, by the way, is in western Massachusetts.
Oh, it's Massachusetts. Okay.
Yeah. There's an Amherst. There's a town in New York State called Amherst. Silent H, by the way.
This is why I thought it was there.
But Amherst College is in western Mass, and it's a very small, very tough school to get into. And as the Dean of Admissions reminded me at the time, I went in for an interview. He said that it has nothing to do with getting good grades at something called Rincon High School in Tucson, or anything, or at the U of A or anything like that. I did something that no other student had done, and that was to be a VISTA volunteer. And he thought maybe
that's pretty cool.
Maybe I could share some of that experience with a lot of these kids who were from the best prep schools in the world.
Wow.
So it was that simple.
That's amazing. So how do you go, this has always fascinated me about your background. How do you go from Tucson, and then you're in New York for a while. How do you go from there to Hawaii? And then, your first experience as a copywriter.
Yes.
So how do you do all that? And then what did that first experience as a copywriter mean like for the rest of your career in advertising? Because you had an amazing career, or have an amazing career in advertising.
In the 60s, there were very few colleges or universities that had any advertising courses. Let's say there was hardly even a decent advertising textbook, which is another story. But Amherst was a wonderful school for writers. I was an English major, and I ended up winning the poetry award there. And that's the school of Robert Frost and the town of Emily Dickinson. But to be very direct about it, how many people can make a living writing poetry? And
not a whole lot.
I wasn't that good.
Bob Dylan.
Yeah, Bob Dylan.
There you go. No, that's right. But at the same time, if you look at it, you're using the same tools when you write advertising often. Mm-hmm. So we use those. Sometimes you're going to do a rhyme. Sometimes you have alliteration. But short form stuff. You try to be a little bit creative. So I was using the metaphor, simile, using the same tools as writing a short poem.
This is in Hawaii?
No.
Still in New York.
I'm just saying that right from college.
Okay.
So I went to, from college, I went to Chicago. Chicago was a good advertising town, and for discipline, and in the 60s, Chicago was the mail order capital. So to get a first job writing was pretty simple, and I didn't have any money. I needed a job, so to writing catalog copy, and that's a discipline.
Like Sears or Montgomery Ward.
The Sears, Wards, they were there, but also what became known as the supermarket of electronics, Allied Radio. If you were a Boy Scout or Cub Scout, you probably built these little night kits, all these things, and that was Allied Radio. But they were the predecessor to Radio Shack.
Wow!
So they were very big, and they had 2,000 employees in Chicago, and catalog. And so I was one of what they called the country club, and they had a little advertising department, and we wrote the copy for the catalogs, and it would go to an art department, and the type was set, come back to us, and every day we're in charge of a page. And the discipline was, and I don't care how long you had worked for that company, if you made a mistake in proofreading an order number or a price on your page, you would be automatically fired.
Wow!
So and it was, well, when you have that fear of losing a job and you need the money to survive, you don't make that mistake.
Right.
And later I've taught a bit in college advertising classes, and I tell the students that, and their attitude was, well, then we'd all lose our job. And it's kind of the truth. So trying to get a long story short here, Ken, since you asked the question, Chicago, it wasn't that much of a challenge for me. I mean, I needed the money, and it got very cold. And although I was used to cold in Massachusetts and New York City, the cold in Chicago off the lake was something that I was not I was not going to get used to. Yeah. And so I looked at the little money I had and how far I could go, and at the time, that happened to be Hawaii. I would say I knew nobody, I had no job, nothing else. But if it didn't work out, I could afford to fly back at least to California. So anyway, yes.
I don't want to interrupt you, but there's a question that is wasn't on my mind and just popped up.
What's that?
Since you're the king of advertising.
Well,
one of the kings.
You're a royalty. Maybe I'm just a prince. I don't know.
A royalty. Let's say you're royalty in this big family of advertising. Of these three, sales, marketing, and advertising, which is, I know they're all tied together.
Yes, they do.
Which one is the most important? I want everyone who's watching and listening, because there's a lot of entrepreneurs out there that don't pay attention too much to marketing, which is, to me, the oxygen of the rest. Would you elaborate on that, please?
It's a very good question, and let's say how they relate to each other. And I, one of the quotes that might help, and it's always inspired me, and I'll give you two of them. One is run the risk of being noticed. And when you get into the art of positioning, which again, we can call that marketing, you can call it advertising, or what do you have that's unique? I don't care what, as a person, anything. What is your USP, your unique selling proposition? And what is the benefit? So I always keep coming back to that, whether in dealing with a client or in my own life, or a USP, unique selling proposition, and then run the risk of being noticed. I have had so many clients who were afraid. Don't be afraid.
Fear.
Yeah, they really are. So and sometimes, gosh, what are people going to think about that? So we can go back to all the way in my life. You all may know that Canyon Ranch started here. Canyon Ranch, and that wasn't just the Canyon Ranch started here. The whole international spa industry, therefore, started here.
Wow. Which became the Tucson, the number one destination for that kind of.
And yet, no one, and that was about 1980 or so. I've been in this business actually over 50 years, so bear with me if the dates aren't quite right. I'm getting old here. But around 1950, Mel Zuckerman, who was he was a home building client of mine. He developed all those little subdivisions in Sabino Vista. He was president of the the Home Builders Association here, Southern Arizona Home Builders, and Mel decided that he wanted to open up a spa. Another long
Mel
story.
Zuckerman.
Mel Zuckerman. Yeah, it was so. And then, well, what's that? You know. And so he had
uncharted territory.
He had this inspiration from a very driven former accountant and then home builder and all that, and very, very aggressive, bottom line oriented. He decided he was going to open up this spa, life changing. And so we learned from him. But the travel agents who would be responsible for sending, in those days, travel agents ruled the roost for high-end kind of travel. They had no idea. And he had a whole team of salespeople. Okay, about sales now too. He had a whole team of salespeople who could not get in to see the top travel agents in this country.
Wow.
Yeah, we don't know what a spa is. And so we focused on the East Coast, knowing that they would be the ones most likely with very wealthy clientele, and
get away from the cold.
To get away from the cold first. And so what do we do to get in there? And so I came up with a line, and this was direct mail. Now, first, this was an invitation, like an envelope and a greeting card. And the greeting card, on the front of the greeting card, said, "Send your clients where they'll lose their asses." And their thighs, and their hips, and all that. And it made you laugh, right? That was the idea. Now, Mel at first was, but oh my God, So, and he would tell you this story. He can't because he's no longer alive, but he would have told you this story. And he had to run the risk of being noticed. Why? Because he was slowly going bankrupt, seriously going bankrupt, because his sales team could not even get in the door. And they got in the door, 99% of the travel agents, they remembered, oh yeah, you're the ones that sent there.
Lose your asses.
Yeah. And then there was 1%, oh, that's terrible taste. Yeah, we don't want to talk to you. So 99-1, those are good odds. Okay, and that's what we have to do. Okay, in my estimation, you try to do that. So run the risk of being noticed.
So that statement falls under sales or marketing?
These people were in charge of selling. Okay, yet Mel had to help market the product with my help. So there's a little bit of both. Now that run the risk of being noticed was one of my good old friends. He's no longer alive, named Lauren Marcus. And Lauren was a big influence. We worked together. I first met him in Hawaii, which, again, going back there. And he was a real superstar in the business, and won national Clio awards and these things. It doesn't get any that's like the Academy Award of Advertising. At the same time, another, we'll call him a mentor of mine, who was a huge inspiration, who became actually world famous, gentleman by the name of Al Hampel. Al Hampel said, "It's not creative unless it sells." Now, again, that word. Is it selling? Is it marketing? Is it da-da-da-da-da? But Al Hampel, who is in the Copywriters Hall of Fame, and he's no longer with us either, but Al worked directly for President Ford. We had huge inflation problems in those days, and he came up with the WIN campaign, Whip Inflation Now. He also, on the consumer end, worked with Lay's potato chips, and many famous people, including Buddy Hackett.
Buddy Hackett, sure.
You can't eat just one. You remember that?
Yeah,
you can't eat
I do remember that, yeah.
So, but Al's point, which I also tried to always remember in doing any kind of a campaign and teaching in a college, you can be so creative, it's great, and make people laugh or cry or do anything else, but unless they buy the product, it's a waste of the client's money. It's not creative unless it sells. So I don't want you guys to forget that either, okay?
Your work has included everything from launching PimaCare, one of the country's first HMOs, to developing groundbreaking campaign for real estate and gaming. What has been the most challenging yet rewarding project you've taken on so far?
It's not a simple answer. It's a good question. Another quote that has inspired me is we drink from wells we did not dig. I've learned in creating any of these campaigns, in the living life, that we owe so much to an understanding history. Who did what? The great inspirational campaigns that I've had the pleasure of working on, that reminds me of that. Working on the first political campaign I worked on was maybe the most famous mayor in Tucson history. That's Lou Murphy. He trusted me, and he was 4 times he was mayor, and he appreciated just that same kind of quote. And who did he owe? And politicians then could get along. So if it hadn't been for Tucson having Lou Murphy, but also having Mo Udall, the other party. Lou was a Republican, Mo's Democrat. And using that metaphor in the water, we wouldn't have had this. We may not have much water here. The Central Arizona project, which of course was Mo.
That's a project you were working on.
No. I can say that Mo Udall worked on that. Mm-hmm. But it was a great time. Again, in Tucson's history, you can go back, and understanding history can answer some of that question. So where did I learn? And sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. I've learned so much from others here. Doing Jim Click. You learn a lot of discipline from Mr. Click, believe me, and you don't make mistakes. This is what I learned in Chicago or LA Radio. But there's very little room for mistakes when there's 1,000 employees and they're depending on the advertising working. Salespeople want customers to come on the floor. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Sure.
A politician wants to get reelected. Don't screw that up. Mm-hmm. So what do you do to make sure? But they have to sometimes run the risk of being noticed too. Yeah.
So you're talking about not making mistakes and how critical it is, but you still have to be creative. So and you've had so many different types of businesses, everything from luxuries, resorts.
I've been very fortunate.
So how are you creative with all these different types of businesses? Well,
that's what makes business fun. And when I agreed to do Mr. Click's advertising, and it was very funny, I said, he really wanted me to be totally in his court and working for him like full time. And I said, I would be bored. No, and he got it.
Right.
Said, you can be number one, Mr. Click, but I'd be bored if that's all I did.
Right.
Jerry De La Femina, he's retired now, but he was one of the great ad men of the super creative, the Mad Men era, right? Along with Bill Bernbach and David Ogilvy and those guys. But Jerry De La Femina said advertising's the most fun you can have with your clothes on. He also, now talking about the run the risk of being noticed.
That's creative.
De La Femina also wrote a book with the title is From Those Wonderful Folks Who Brought You Pearl Harbor. And that was related to his pitch for the Panasonic account, which is a Japanese consumer electronic. So, and he really pitched that line.
Really?
Yeah. Now, and of course they did not.
I don't think that would go over so well.
No, they did not hire him.
Yeah, probably not.
But you have to laugh, right?
Yeah.
And so he was a real character. I've always enjoyed it, which is really why I'm still in the business. I just don't work 80 hours a week anymore. But it's very enjoyable to have a variety of clients. You're not going to get bored.
Right. Does it keep you creative that way too?
Oh, yeah. So I had the privilege soon after getting off the plane in Hawaii, I got hired by an agency that was full of expats. They'd all worked on the mainland for McCann Erickson, which is one of the great old advertising agencies.
Yep.
And they needed a copywriter, and they gave me a test, and I passed it, and they hired me. And one of their great connections was with Dentsu at the time, which is the largest advertising agency in the world, because they handled almost everything coming out of Japan, they were Tokyo-based. And so they came to Hawaii, and they said, well, we handle Toshiba, and so we're going to look at Hawaii like it's a separate country, and many did. And so we need you to create a separate advertising campaign for Toshiba in Hawaii. And because of my consumer electronics background with Allied Radio in Chicago, I got to be the lead on that. And they needed a slogan, first of all. And the slogan I created, they used around the world for 25 years.
Which is what?
In Touch with Tomorrow.
Oh.
And I got that partly from...
I like it.
From my Amherst background, knowing that Japanese poetry often uses alliteration, the repetition. So In Touch with Tomorrow, and then you have Toshiba. And so they offered me a job in Tokyo, but I said, hey, it's really great living in Hawaii, so no thank you. But I've been fortunate, Ken, in having a lot of, a wide range of different clients. Some of them more challenging, obviously, than others.
I would think.
And when you have a car dealer like Jim Click, and there was always a Monday meeting, and so which I really appreciate. Right away, is this working or is it not working? When I created certain campaigns and could immediately get the input, I appreciated that more than anything. In politics, it used to be, not anymore, used to be that the first Tuesday, right? Tuesday in November, that was your final exam. That was it. That was it. But now with the way people vote for a month or sometimes 2 months, it makes it a lot more challenging. The Click deal, used cars were a problem that I helped solve with Maintenance for Life. Used car business went up 25% overnight.
Wow.
Overnight. We came in on Monday.
So that's because of you.
Saying, well,
I got one of those cars.
I get
couple
some
of
that.
them.
I get some of the credit for that.
Yep.
And with home builders like Estes Homes, which I did for like the last 12 years or so, there was an Estes, and then they sold, to KB, California builder. We would have sales meetings every Monday. Well, what's working? What isn't working? That helps me a lot.
Like we have.
Yeah,
we do.
Exactly.
Yeah, so it helped me a lot. You need that kind of input to do the job right.
Absolutely.
You can call it marketing, you call it anything you want, sales, but you need that kind of input. At the same time, I've had clients I had to warn because I'm pretty good at what I do. I know that, and I'd warn them, if we do this advertising, you're going to get inundated. You're going to get a lot of business. Are you ready for it? I had a huge pool builder, maybe back in the late 70s, early 80s. It was a very prominent pool builder, but it was new owners. And March came around, and they said, Rich, you do the advertising and promise people they're going to have a pool if they hire us for the summer, and it's March.
Right.
I said, well, you better be ready.
Right. Can you build that many pools?
Yes. Yeah. Well, come September, they still hadn't completed the pools that we promised them.
Oh, wow.
And so they went out of business.
Oh, my gosh.
And I warned people, and it's good, because I said, I'm pretty good. Are you ready to answer the phones?
Right.
Are you ready? And are you ready for this? Are you ready for that? Because if you're not, don't do this.
Right.
It's okay. And some of them listen.
Yeah.
Some of them are ready, some of them are not,
Wow.
Very inspiring. Unfortunately, we have a time here. Last question.
A last question. Okay.
And make it as
How much time do I have to answer this?
And that is your own life, your own family, and health and well-being. Has this job or this career of yours put tremendous stress on your life, and how did you deal with it?
It's a very good question, and I'm still dealing with it. and I'm getting pretty old.
Well, you don't look old at
thank
all.
you.
Ken.
Well, that's because I like what I do. I was just saying that. But
It's because you like what you do. You're passionate about what you do.
That's right. The problem with many of us in this business that requires an awful lot of hours. Many businesses do, but to start my own business here, I when I came back from Hawaii, that was another major decision after 5 years in Hawaii, and I learned a lot. And I had a good time, but I learned a lot. And I came back to my roots. I still had family here and all that. And I asked people, what should I do to establish my business here and myself here? I kept coming back to, you have to become a really good citizen of Tucson. You have to volunteer.
So true.
And one of the guys who's still around in town, but he's very retired, he said, Rich, if you really want to do this, you cannot have a life for the next 5 years. He said, you have to be on this committee, and it's like United Way, it's like the chamber, it's this and that. You have to volunteer for everything. You're really going to have to work hard, and you're not going to have a personal life. And
That's so true.
And so
get connected.
And I will say that my family has suffered. It's not so much now. A lot of sacrifice on my wife's part, Robbie's part, and the boys. We have a merger family, and I wasn't around as much. My clients did well, but it's an evolutionary process, and I don't have all the answers.
Yeah, and I don't think anyone does. We know one thing for a fact. It's that creating that. It's important to follow your passion. It's important to make money. It's important to provide. It's equally important to take care of yourself, and which is that harmony I speak about. I would say the importance of aligning all those four expressions of life is what allows you for longevity. And I'm sure you're doing that. Looking at you look great, and that's because you're doing that. You're creating that harmony between the mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual aspects of your life. I see a lot of my clients who say that they do that by accident, by default. And when I ask them to elaborate on that, the answer is, I'm here. Am I not?
Mm-hmm. Sure.
See,
sure.
The fact that you're here, that you're in good health, is a testament of that creation of that harmony between mind, body, and spirit, or emotional, mental, physical, and spiritual aspects of your life. Here's a token of appreciation for being on the show.
Thank you. Well, we were even talking today about how much of this is inherited with your DNA, and how much is environmental and all these things. Are you working out? Are you doing this?
I think the inherited is the one aspect that fuels you to create whatever is coming, because I know for a fact that if you have inherited no passion for anything, you're just going to live life by default.
Yes,
yes. And that is what what fuels life, is that passion. Find that passion. And I'm not saying go to Fry's and buy passion in package of 12, because it doesn't exist. Find a skill you like to do. Do it if you like it. Take it, master it, and it becomes a passion. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
for
thanks,
having
Rich,
us.
for beating us. We got to wrap it up, unfortunately. Rich has some amazing stories and has done so well for himself in the advertising business, of which I was part of for a long time. If you enjoyed this show, please subscribe, share.
Comment,
like it, share it with your friends, and we look forward to seeing you again here soon for another episode of No Limits Life.